Holy smoke, what did I do to deserve this?
Feels like 2019.
That's exactly right. It's an embarrassment of riches. It's how we made our bone. Swagoo is here.
What's good, family?
Orlovsky, we got the Dans on this side with Graziano. It is a delight to have all of you here as we work our way towards the start of the football season. And we have two LSU legends to my left. We had two LSU legends starting at quarterback last night.
They're a little bit more legendary than we are.
Monday night. Don't kid yourself.
Safe to say.
All right, here we go. Opening drive for.
Listen to what he was doing all last year. Phenomenal job. But don't ever do this again, Jayden. You have to understand who you are, where you are, and what time you're trying to get out of there.
Take a little hint there. That would be his night. He would leave. He would not throw a pass.
Hey, I'm the defense coordinator. Hey, guys, before we go on the field, don't tackle anybody. See what happens.
And then ensuing Bengals drive, and down goes Burrow again.
Yeah, I really just think Joe was at a point where he was just trying to do some things and figure some things out.
He doesn't even do this in real life, though.
Continuing a drive for Cincinnati, and then Burrow would find
this throw, though.
Jones in the end zone. It's a great throw.
Unbelievable.
It's a great throw, and it's great concentration, Narcy, on the cat.
I mean, this is things that only Joe Burrow, like 2 or 3 other people in the world can do, and he shows you why he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Higgins liked it. So 31-17.
How we got out of that without Tinsley highlights, I don't know.
Well, so here's the deal. Cincinnati wins the game, but what did we learn about them? Last year, their big problem was defense. They were 25th in the league. Yesterday, in the first quarter, 9 of their 11 defensive starters played the entire quarter. They allowed 14 points on 7 plays. They allowed 106 rushing yards on 17 yards per carry. After the game, our Troy Aikman had concern.
I just don't know how this team can be good enough defensively. We saw what happened last year, that they can accomplish what they want to. And as we talked about, they've wasted some good years with Joe Burrow, especially last year when he played in an MVP-type season.
So that really has become the narrative here, are the Bengals and this dreadful defense in a season coming off a year, and you just heard Troy say it, in which Burrow played about as well as a quarterback can play, and they didn't make the playoffs. Are we concerned that they are wasting this stage of Joe Burrow's career?
Absolutely. I mean, if you watch that game last night and you think about, especially early on last season, we've watched people run for more miles against the Cincinnati Bengals than David Goggins. And he's in like 200. Stay hard. Yeah, he's in like 200-mile races every other month. The Cincinnati Bengals are trying to figure out a way to capitalize on having one of the best quarterbacks of this generation. And so what they did in the offseason was re-sign T. Higgins, re-sign Jamar Chase. But now you're looking at a defense that hasn't improved. And not only has it not improved, but you also haven't signed your best player and one of the few impact players that you had on that side of the. Watch this in the preseason. You have to be sick to your stomach because you know there's going to be some games where you sit in the post-game press conference that you scored 35, 38, maybe 41, and you still catch an L.
They had those last year. And Graziano, obviously, the hanging over all of this is the Trey Hendrickson, who still doesn't have the deal he wants and still isn't playing. Is there any reason for optimism that they will have him when the season starts?
There's plenty of reason for optimism, and you hear it when you listen to the broadcast last night and people talk about having spoken to him and what he has said. He wants to be in Cincinnati. They have an agreement in terms of length of the contract and the amount of money. It's just about the guarantees, and we know from experience the Bengals don't like to guarantee money in future years. So whatever the resolution is, it has to be along those lines. He probably has to give. They probably have to give. But I don't think he's getting traded. I don't think at this point in the offseason anybody's going to give the Bengals what they want and also give Trey Hendrickson what he wants. So I think they find their way back to each other. The question is just when.
Gotta find my way back.
Dude, the Bengals front office and team and coaching staff has to be in full-on panic mode.
Yes.
That was terrible last night. It was terrible last week. It was terrible last year. They're worse, it looks like, right now. And this, when you watch them, it's like bad gaps, bad angles. It looks slow. I mean, that defense looks slow. This is the Deebo Samuel jet sweep. And you guys know this defensively better than I. These guys are running into each other defensively. No one's got any gap leverage. No one's got any angles. I mean, this is stuff that was supposed to, at least the controllables, get fixed. they in Cincinnati blamed all of this on Lou Anarumo from last year, their old defensive coordinator, that they just wouldn't run to the football. They couldn't tackle any better. This is Jayden's scramble. Look at the difference of speed between him and everybody else on the field. I mean, this is a slow defense right now. There's 4, 5, 6 guys that barely touch him until he gets 2 or 3 yards from the end zone. Like, I know we want to come on TV and talk about the quarterbacks. This is scary in Cincinnati right now. This is way bigger than just Trey Hendrickson. Yeah. This is a absolute, they've already wasted a year, and it feels like they're going to waste another 2 or 3.
Daniel, they had Trey Hendrickson last year.
I know.
It's way bigger than him.
Oh, my gosh, man. You're just
I don't know where the Cincinnati Bengals lost this identity. 3 years ago, we were talking about Lou Anarumo being a prime candidate for a head coach based on the way their defense. They had broke the Patrick Mahomes code that nobody could seem to break. Late in games, they were able to beat them and go to the Super Bowl. Where we sit today, it ain't enough points Joe can score to win games.
Like RC just said, you got to score 40 to win.
That's not.
There was no hyperbole.
But you won't be on the field enough to score 40 points a game. When the Ravens play you, how many possessions? We know how this goes, right? We know that Joe Burrow is one of the most devastating quarterbacks. Opportunity after opportunity. Bro, you asking him to be 100% based on that defense. You asking him every time you go on the field, you have to score, right? And you more so leaning on other teams' mistakes than feeling like you can go into a game and win it based on what we watch here. Bro, that was god-awful. And Terry McLaurin wasn't on the field.
Again.
What they're going to lean on is kids, right? Because when you start spending the amount of money they're spending at quarterback, at wide receiver, even the amount of money they're trying to pay Trey Hendrickson, like you have, so the 2nd-round pick, Demetrius Knight, out of South Carolina, the 4th-round pick, Barrett Carter, who had an interception last night, and of course the 1st-round pick, Shamar Stewart, who didn't have a full off-season. So the idea is you need to get contributions from these guys that you're not paying monster money to, and that could be the kind of thing where hopefully they're a better defense in October than September, and on as the year goes along. But they're putting it together right now.
But therein lies my Trey Hendrickson conundrum, right? Because last night, and to your point, it didn't help him last year. What it did help him is it gave him opportunities on some of them sacks to steal a possession.
Right.
I know everybody's been talking about where they were still bad. Bro, 17.5 sacks for Trey Hendrickson were impactful. They were late game, impactful sacks that he was able to get the ball back for his offense. So beyond that, you just talked about it, Graz. Young defense, a superstar defensive end. See, people don't look at Trey Hendrickson in the locker room like the fans or the media does. They know how important he is, like on a day-to-day basis. It's different when he shows up on Sunday and everybody like, well, they sucked with Trey Hendrickson anyway.
Right.
But I'm sure day-to-day when you're a Shamar Stewart and you on the D-line, I've been that guy. And you look to the right and be like, Trey, help me figure this out. That is a completely different tone to how you walk on the field. That's why you have superstars. They change the mentality of the guys around them.
Think about the big 4 in the AFC at quarterback. Patrick, Lamar, Josh, and Joe.
Yeah.
Patrick's defense constantly helps him along the way. One of the best. Lamar's got top 3 defense in the AFC. Josh Allen's defense is constantly top 5 when it comes to